the entertainment highlight of the week.
Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good day.
Good evening.
Goodness.
Good flotness.
You nearly muffed it, but yes.
Nearly muffed it.
So
I'm a bit
palpable.
distracted, but it's very appropriate. There's a helicopter outside, and I feel that it's very relevant for Knights of God.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got some noisy people outside the window going, oh, yeah, I don't know what they're saying.
Well,
it just sounds like that to me. Anyway, this is the Benji and Nick Show.
Certainly
I'm not
is.
Benji.
And I'm not Nick, but both of us, we do this podcast together. We talk about cult television, TV from the past, TV from days gone by, things you forget, things you remember, things you'd rather forget. And we review it all, and we have a little look and...
Yes, we set ourselves something to watch between podcasts, and then we talk about it. Or we do a bit of commentary of Revenge of the Cybermen or Death to the Daleks, something new maybe coming up. And the other thing is we talk about what we've been watching recently. But this week is one of those ones where we've set ourselves the task of, as you've seen from the artwork and the title, what is it, Benji?
It's called Knights of God. Yeah.
Is it Knights of God or The Knights of God?
It's Knights of God.
Just checking.
It's Knights of God. Yeah, I just double checked that for you as well. It is Knights of God.
The other thing we do is we read out some emails from you sent to podcast Nicholas.
You can't say his own name.
NicholasBriggs.com. Podcast at NicholasBriggs.com. We read out some of those, and also, if we're lucky, we speak to Jamie Anderson, son of the late great Jerry Anderson. Although that has virtually nothing to do with why we're speaking to him. And so. Shall I read out an email or two?
I would love you to.
I haven't selected any, so these are going to take me a bit by surprise. Dear Nick, you owe me £50.
Oh, criminy. Oh, dear.
Criminy. Oh, right, here we are. This is from Jay Dermott, who wrote on the 1st of August at 1652. An excellent year.
Good year, yeah.
That old joke.
Good gag.
Hi, Benji and Nick. I'd like to suggest Andrew Davis's series from the 1980s, A Very Peculiar Practice, as a subject for a future viewing assignment. It has, after all, a cast very much in keeping with the genre most favoured by the podcast, with Peter Davison, David Troughton and Barbara Flynn in pivotal roles. I was an undergraduate when it was first shown on TV and related to it because I found its themes topical to the setting I was in at the time. As I recall, it received critical approval, and I think that it would stand up to the passage of the years. I hope you agree. I'd certainly give it a score of... Oh, God, there's about 5 exclamation marks there.
Wow, that's impressive.
I want to finish with more than just a customary really enjoy the podcast, keep up the good work sign off, because I want to specifically acknowledge the entertainment factor as well as the fair analysis you bring, and the fact that it's all a lot of fun. Well, the fun stops here, Jay.
Yes, it's now really serious. We're going to talk about the inland revenue. Do you like them? And
do you?
Do you?
Or don't you? You bring a terrific combination of talents, and it all just works out perfectly.
Hey.
I feel like I'm letting you down, Jay. All these comments extend to your podcast associate, Jamie Anderson, as well. I must tell him that. Who waits for your phone call to deliver its random, seemingly trivial but deceptively searching question, springing Cato-like upon him from the shadows while he's trying to work. Splendid chaps, all of you. Best regards, Jay. You know Cato from the Pink Panther movies. Not now, Cato! And Burt Kwok just leaps out of the shadows to have an impromptu punch-up with
so
Peter
good.
Sellers, Clouseau.
That's what Sunday's all about, Pink Panther movies.
It's
the musical interlude of the podcast.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Jay. That was lovely.
Well, I just had a look at a very peculiar practice.
Oh, do you not know it?
I don't know it, no.
Oh, it's superb. It is stupendous.
It's certainly been received well. 2 series and a 90-minute special made for TV film. Yeah, I have to put that one on the list, won't we?
Yeah, we should. It is Peter Davison's best ever performance. I mean, he's a great actor and he's great in everything he does, but it is amazing and it is so beautifully written and the characters are hilarious. Graham Crowden's in it, who plays his sort of, old doctor. Have you seen the basis of the story?
It's I'm just reading about it now. Black comedy, isn't it, in a health centre of a university?
Yeah.
So you can, I can
it's
imagine.
It's riddled with strangeness, and David Troughton is incredible as this sort of, really patronising, yes, really yuppie doctor, hello, old boy. And Barbara Flynn as the rather intimidating woman who's always saying things like, you find me attractive, don't you?
Classic Barbara Flynn.
Don't worry. Yes. I'm not going to sleep with you, but I may do. Yes. And Peter is amazing in it. You must.
It's written by Andrew Davies, so it's going to be brilliant. This
is before he was the famous Andrew Davies as well.
Just fair enough. Wow.
The theme tune goes, "We love you."
Hey. It's
basically Peter Davison's character is sort of constantly having a nervous breakdown and kind of can't cope with anything. He has a relationship with this woman, and every morning he wakes up going, and he sees her there, and he goes, "Oh, was I doing it again?" "Yes, you were." He's really good in it. I just want to stop doing the podcast and go
just
and watch
that.
Frankly,
yeah, definitely have to put that on the list. Definitely.
Okay, look, here's one from John Pettigrew. I haven't read it. It's called Dumb Dada Dumb. Why is it called that? I'll find out. Anyway, he sent it on the 30th of July at 15:23. What happened in 15:23?
15:23.
Yeah, let's find out.
15:23. Yeah.
Hi, Nick and Benji. Enjoying the podcast as usual. The amount of classic TV series you review and discuss is turning into an excellent resource for people like me who wish to build a library of classic TV which may have been forgotten or passed under my radar, especially to younger generations who were too young to have seen most of these programs. In the last few months, I've since procured second-hand DVD copies of such gems as The Jensen Code, or Colditz, Sapphire and Steel, hooray, The Sweeney, and Krakow, woo. All the reactions were mine and not John's. It's a buyer's market just now as DVD becomes ever less popular, which is brilliant for collectors like us. It's not so brilliant for my wife, actually, because she keeps saying, how many more DVDs are you going to buy, Nick?
The answer you say is, I don't know. I've got to have more, though. More for
Got to keep going.
I've got a cupboard full of them. A huge cupboard. Like a closet full of DVDs. It's distressing.
Brilliant, isn't it? As I've mentioned before, there's the market just outside our house every Wednesday and Saturday. And there's a DVD store, I would say, 12 paces from my front door. And the guy's there, they say, "Hello, what can we do for you today?" And there I am buying a box set of the Avengers or something. Anyway, even if one or both of you aren't overly fond of a certain programme, e.g. Nick with the tripods, Benji with the Tomorrow People, you describe the series perfectly for us listeners to give us an idea of whether we would enjoy such fare. My favourite so far has been Colditz, which I think only got a lukewarm response from the two of you. It did, but I was interested enough to track down a box set. It's a genre that would normally pass me by, but I'm so glad you reviewed it and brought it to my attention. The only one series you both raved over and I was completely underwhelmed with was the Beiderbecke trilogy.
Oh, yeah, to be fair, a lot of people have got in touch and said that it's not for, they appreciate it, but it's not for them. But it is very weird. It is a weird one. It's a weird one.
Yeah, John says, which did just completely did nothing for me. But that's okay, as I just resold it on eBay to another interested party and put the money towards Sapphire and Steel on DVD, a show I'd always loved but never before bothered to get a copy of. Wow. Oh, I'm so glad you got into that. Yeah, not everyone likes the Beiderbecke Affair trilogy.
It's extra. It's very extra.
It's extra. What does that mean?
Out there, kind of a bit different, a little bit.
Is that what extra mean? Is that
yeah,
like
if someone is a
young
bit
people's
extra,
talk?
they're really sort of out there, they do their own thing, like it sort of doesn't care so much about what people think. It's kind of
Have you ever said that to me before?
Maybe, I don't know.
I've never heard it.
It's a good saying though.
It's extra.
We're quite
what
extra.
Radio 4 Extra's about.
Yes, a bunch of weirdos.
And now for something completely different. No, I'm not about to bring up Monty Python's Flying Circus, but something a bit left field. There was a brilliant children's sci-fi author whom I discovered as a youngster in the 80s, Nicholas Fisk. He wrote some wonderful books that really captured my imagination. Grinny Trillions, A Rag, A Bone, and A Hank of Hair. Oh, that's all one title. I thought it was all separate titles, etc. And I would really like to send 3 of them to you, Nick, to see if they would be suitable for Big Finish as a potential audio range. Oh, never heard of them. So even if the answer is a definite no, or the rights issues would be insurmountable, I'd really like to send you these novels for your own enjoyment. Call it a gift in return for all the hours worth of free entertainment you and Benji provide in your fab podcast. Well, that seems overly generous. Could you provide the best address for me to send these to? Anyway, looking forward to the next podcast and perhaps to my next classic TV find. Best wishes, John Pettigrew.
It's funny, this Nicholas Fisk was a name that popped up the other day for some reason. I can't remember why. Upon inspection, his work has actually sort of been... A lot of different people have taken it on. Jim Henson has done Monster Maker for the Jim Henson Hour. CBS have taken on another book as well, so it's quite a few different people have looked at it and taken it on. So, intéressant, I will say, intéressant. His real name's David Higginbottom.
Really?
Yeah, imagine saying that 3 times after a few pints.
David Higginbottom. I can say it once. Right, now, here's one from T.E. Hodden, Thomas Hodden.
Hey.
Sent on the 26th of July at 10:10. Gents, my visit to the Scrubs was a success, and Mr. Corbett has agreed to help you muscle into new territory if you pull off the Bash Street job. I think we can trust Corbett, but there is something about the right-hand bear, about his right-hand bear, Sooty, I don't like. He sits there quietly staring at you, and to be honest, it scares me. Big Al will have to be your muscle man on point. Nicholas, don't call me Johnny. Briggs will be the schemer running a double down fold. And Johnny, don't call me Nicky. Briggs will bust you into the bank with a classic trombone slide. Bilal has a tunnel right to the vault, through which Benji can enter with a crack team of Clifford the Big Red One, the Littlest Hobo, and Scrappy Doo.
Hey.
Just for God's sake, keep them in check this time. We can't afford to lose out because you were chasing your tail. And keep them away from Skeletor, the getaway driver. We can't afford to have him going to pieces. I'm going to stage a distraction to keep the fuzz off your tail by having the Blobby from Crinkly Bottom staging an argument with Dobbin outside the cop shop. As long as we all stay calm and act professionally, we should be fine. Stan and Ollie weren't available to disable the alarms, so I'm farming that out to the Buster Keaton and some guy called Frankie Spencer. I mean, it's a simple bypass job, so it would take quite an effort to get that wrong. What do you say, chaps? Are we go? Yours as always, T. Hodden. I think we go.
We go. Off we go.
And who knows that after I've done a bit of editing, it may have appeared that I read that out properly. Don't forget, you can email us at podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. And what do you want to email in about? You can email in about, what can they email? Suggestions,
feedback, things that you've watched, things that you disagree with us, things that you do or don't like, I suppose, really. It's a big
Your dog's just come in.
My dog has just come in, yeah.
Just opened the door herself.
She's also eating a treat.
Oh, what a treat.
What a treat. Bless her. Yeah, so you can write about all kinds of... We love to hear from you. We love... having you're just as much a part of this podcast as we are.
Essential.
Which is why it's called the Benji, Nick, John, James, Jack, Sally,
Herbert,
Thomas,
John,
Jay, Jane,
Jay,
Philomena, Elizabeth,
Jamie,
Tegan, Jamie, Donna. Oh no, Leela. Anyway, thank you so much. So podcast at nicholasbriggs.com. Send them in, chaps and chapesses. Right, so I suppose we better talk about the subject at hand, which is hands. Well, they're at the hand, aren't they? No, we're talking about Knights of God, which was a TVS, Television South, for those who don't know, which is now just general ITV. It was a show that came out in the late 80s, September to December 1987.
Oh. Come on, tell us about it then.
Well, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? It was basically to sort of summarise it, set in the year 2020, which is next year for those listening in the present time scale. It's about kind of fascist, sort of religious / I can't work out. They are religious, but
yes, they're very extreme Christian sect.
It says here on Wikipedia. It showed Britain ruled by the Knights of God. Oh no, yeah, a fascist and anti-Christian religious order.
Oh, anti-Christian.
So maybe they're like their own thing.
Oh, they're sort of monks, aren't they?
They are, yeah. They're sort of an elite force of kind of a horrible fascist organisation which have taken over the majority of the UK, apart from a sort of small patches of Wales, which are not ruled but certainly occupied by a resistance force led by Gareth Thomas. Surprise, surprise.
Being very Welsh.
Being very, very Welsh, yes. It's also got Patrick Troughton in there, who plays the leader of the English... Patrick Troughton. He plays the leader of the English resistance. Julian Fellows plays second in command, Brother Hugo. And, of course, it has got John Woodvine as Prior Mordrin, the big
Woodvine.
bad, who was pretty much in everything in the 80s, wasn't he?
Yes, definitely.
Quite surprised by... Patrick Troughton's always been in everything, but I sort of feel like towards the late 80s, he really started getting back into doing a lot more telly stuff, didn't he? Sort of sad that he sort of passed away when he did, because he was really...
He died very young, actually.
He did, yeah.
He was 67 or something, wasn't he?
We were robbed of some great performances. I mean, the beauty of it is that towards this time in his career, and I'm looking at things like Knights of God and also things like...
Box of Delights.
Box of Delights. He was playing older gentlemen, so we got a flavour of kind of older Patrick Troughton. But
that's the reason we're saying that, just in case you haven't heard podcast from about a year ago, actually now.
Yeah, blimey.
Because it was when I was off ill. Jamie and Benji put Patrick. I think, did I write something and then you put it...
Yes, you wrote a message for the listeners, and so I thought instead of reading it out, I'd get an actor in. I couldn't afford the actor, so in the end I used text to speech, and it was just amusing because instead of saying Patrick Troughton, it said Patrick Troughton. Which is sort of
stuck. Really disjointed. Like Patrick Troughton.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But yeah, Knights of God is an interesting one, isn't it? You can't get it. You can't get it anywhere on DVD. So I watched it, as Nick did, on YouTube, where somebody had kindly uploaded a copy of it.
Illegally, probably. But nobody's taken it down.
Nobody's taken it. It's not out, so is it really? Interesting enough, it was originally distributed by Disney and ABC. Yeah, who would have thought that? But anyway, so it's a hard one to get hold of. Interesting. What were your first thoughts on it, Nick?
Well, I remember at the time. I don't know whether I watched any of it at the time. I do know of it, and maybe It's a very classy production. It's shot on film. I think it's 16mm. It's difficult to tell from the...
I actually thought it was tape.
No.
I think it looks a bit tapey, but maybe no, yeah.
No, it's shot on film. I would...
Then the copy of what we've got is pretty grim anyway, so...
Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's shot on film, distributed by Disney and all that.
Yeah.
And it has, so it's a very classy production, actually. And it's got a full incidental music score and everything. So, and it was directed by Andrew Morgan, who went on, I believe. I don't think he did this before. Maybe he did. He directed a Doctor Who called Battlefield, didn't he?
Which has got, weirdly enough, kind of, you can see flavours in what he likes doing, clearly.
Well, there's some of the actors in it. And I met Andrew and interviewed him. And he did a jolly nice interview. And then when the tape was off, he just wanted to tell me the truth. Which is that he said about Doctor Who, he said, I mean, there's no money. He said, I can't tell you. He said, they're asking us. He said, basically, with the Doctor Who story, they are asking us to make a movie. And I have, 2 weeks to shoot it, and there's no money. And he was distraught. And he said, and it just doesn't turn out looking any good, And he said, and you put your heart and soul into it, and it's just also crummy. I don't think he said crummy, but he was basically, he found Doctor Who really distressing to work on because he really wanted to do big, exciting stuff.
Poor man.
And he really pushed it with Doctor Who, and he said, you get this script with all this, but I think with all this exciting stuff in, and then you can only deliver a sort of dribble of it as opposed to a full flow of drama, sort of. And I wonder whether he felt Knights of God, gave him more control. I mean, I'm sure it's on film, and I think he would have had a bigger budget for that. And it does have a sort of, it is clearly attempting to have an epic quality to it.
Well, I mean, my immediate thought when I saw it was basically, I thought, look how much money we've got. Look how much money. Just looking now, says series film editing by Nigel Bates, 7 episodes, and Nick McPhee, 6 episodes. So yeah, film.
Yeah,
you are correct.
Pretty
I mean,
certain.
I wasn't sure because it had that sort of slightly faded quality, but I think it's just the fact that the copy we watched came from. It was obviously taped on VHS immediately anyway. So it looked a bit like that. But anyway, my immediate thought from the go off was, you see 2 helicopters flying around with the logo on the side.
Which was expensive in itself, yes.
And it was like, look at this. We have money, everybody. We've got a great score by Christopher Gunnig, who's notorious for doing great scores and never releasing them. Even though I tweeted him to release Day of the Triffids, and he confessed it might be in his loft. But alas, he has never done anything about it. So get on it, because I like your music.
Where does he live? Let's get round there.
Let's get round there. Dust it off. Come on.
We want dangerous...
dangerous knowledge.
Dangerous knowledge.
Did he do that one as well?
Well, have a look.
I love dangerous knowledge. It's like when I was sending you those voice clips of that. It's like that thing's like, oh no, I forgot to cancel the milk. Yeah, but
does it say he did dangerous knowledge?
IMDb dangerous knowledge.
Just
that's probably be quicker for me to get my DVD, to be honest. Music by Christopher Gunning. Yeah, another one, you see. 3 stories that we've not heard.
That was Southern Television, and this is TVS, so maybe, he lives down there somewhere.
The problem with TVS, and this is a problem, because obviously they went bankrupt eventually. And one of the problems that we actually originally had with them anyway is that obviously they're really hard to release stuff. I was involved with a show called Tugs, which is about bringing that back, recovering the tapes behind that, and we've recovered a huge treasure trove of original things from the episode. But actually getting hold of the material and the artifacts from TVS was just so difficult, because there's just chaos. The bankruptcy, people, they're just handing tapes to people and shoving things in vaults somewhere and forgetting who has access to these things. So it's hardly surprising that presumably it hasn't been released because of how chaotic all of it was behind the scenes.
Yes. I mean, I would say about it, as a general comment about the style of it, I'm not interested in... I watched the first episode. I'm happy to stop there. Which is a bit of an indictment, isn't it? I mean, it was very much, it was very classy and had a sort of adult feel, but it's a kid's story, isn't it? It's all about hiding and running away, basically.
I mean, I think for my thoughts on it, I'm going to watch another episode because I quite like the idea of it. But my thoughts were that Gareth Thomas spent the whole time telling that young lad, you must live, you must survive, you must go on, you must do this. But the young lad, he had zero charisma, zero character, and I just don't feel invested in him at all. And I kept, when you're sort of, I was sitting on the edge of my seat thinking, come on, do something, give me a reason to care about you, because all he's doing at the moment is going, what are you doing here? You're meant to be, can I come with you? Whereas you've got Gareth Thomas doing a real Welsh business there, running
Welsh
around
business.
Welsh business,
selling sheep and leeks,
and running a train called Ivor.
Dear Benji and Nick, please do not be offensive about Welsh
about Wales. I laughed though. The bit that made me chuckle to myself was poor old Gareth Thomas. He sort of gets out of Blake 7 and thinks, right, finally I can escape these blokes wearing stupid masks in big black suits marching around in a sort of fascist way. And then he gets this job. Turns up thinking they'd be dressed in some sort of interesting costume. Nope, they are just a sort of mixture between Blake 7 and the Robo-Men from the Dalek movies. Motorcycle helmets.
They do look very similar to the Blake 7 troopers, don't they? Federation security
They
people.
really do. I just thought, he must have got on set and thought, now I know why I was casting this. Right, okay, chaps, let's...
Need to pay the mortgage, let's get on with it. Yes, there's nothing remarkable about it. It is a very solid piece of work. It is very polished and well made. But it's not got any spark. It's not a hidden gem. I don't think, now we found this. I feel compelled to watch it. I'll be blunt. I'm giving it 2 exclamation marks.
I mean, the one thing I took from it immediately was
100.
That there aren't actually many good female characters in it. There's lots of blokes running around, but I didn't notice. They had that one woman, I can't remember her name, but she's in Emmerdale. And she's been in Emmerdale for years, and she was originally in Keeping Up Appearances. And I can't remember her name. Is it Claire Parker?
Gladys Arbuthnot?
I can't remember her, but she was in it, and I thought, she's very, very good. So that'll be interesting. But alas, there just wasn't.
Is it based on a book?
I believe so, yes. And the reason I actually chose this is because somebody on my Twitter showed a picture of the fact that they'd dug this book out and they'd found it, and I saw it. So I thought, that looks interesting.
Did it have a picture from the TV series on the front? Was
There's a picture of a young lad with a gun going down a hill, and then the big logo with the crossed swords and the big Knights of God.
So from the TV series, then?
Yeah, it says there, TVS, Richard Cooper, all that business. So I would say, I'll give it 3 because it's ambitious. I'm keen to see a little bit more of it.
Okay, well, report back next time.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of a piece, really, I would say it's very ambitious. They got the money, but there wasn't enough for me to really grasp.
I mean, they've got helicopters. That's what we're saying.
They've got 2 helicopters.
Definitely got helicopters, and then it is it's well made. But it wasn't boring, but I was happy to press stop. I mean,
it was. I think, having said that, if it got a proper release and I saw it in a better quality, because the sound was pretty dreadful, then maybe I would have been a little bit more into it. But I felt like there was a sort of barrier stopping me from really getting into it.
Well, apparently there's huge rights issues about the release, and who's going to fight for that? I mean, who cares about it enough? There's not you know what I mean? It's not like some classic piece of television that everyone remembers. It's not like a Wurzel Gummidge or something like that, where people would think, oh no, we really ought to do something about that. Everyone remembers Wurzel Gummidge. No one remembers Knights of God. I mean, I suppose because it's quite sort of controversial in its whole religious aspect, I suppose, and I don't know. And it's about an oppressive regime, so it's very Nazi-like. It's like a representation of the Third Reich in a way, and just sort of warning this could happen here. And it's sort of giving you the apocalyptic thrill of seeing familiar places with jack-booted men marching around. I thought it was interesting that it's made by TVS. You would think that they would film it, this is very blinkered of me to say this, you'd think that they would film it in the TVS area, in the
south.
Yeah, but unless they're doubling the south for Wales, that looked like Wales to me.
I'll double check. I think it must have been Wales. I mean, it would seem silly not to film it in Wales.
Know the south of England does not look anything like Wales, that's for sure. It's
no.
very different countryside, and that looked, beautiful, looked really, and very authentically Welsh.
I mean, it's the type of thing that possibly could get the changes that got a BFI acknowledgement for the way in which it featured Sikhs and that religious element. You could see this almost taking on that sort of it's a 1980s drama, very centred around Wales and Welsh things, but would that be enough to really bring it into the fray? Who knows? I don't think so.
I can't imagine anyone's going to champion it. I saw Dick Fiddy last night from the BFI.
Oh yeah, I
should have mentioned it to him because he is an encyclopedia in walking form. He would have gone, oh yeah, nice call. That would have been Richard Cooper, Andrew Morgan.
Yeah, well, next time ask him about it and see. I mean,
he probably even know what the rights problem was as well.
It's just TVS being TVS. TVS took over from Southern Television, which always makes me sad anyway because I love Southern Television. But TVS they were just so. Yeah, I love that because they used to do that program as well, Coast to Coast. We had the long version that was like down, 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 down. That
was the local news program, wasn't it?
With Fred Dinage, who still does it for us today.
Meridian Today he does now.
Yeah, I love
Meridian Television is the Southern region television station now.
I love the original Meridian logo with the sun.
Thank you for the musical interlude.
That was another interlude there by Nicholas Mozart Briggs.
Listen, I got a text from Jamie earlier, Jamie Anderson, and he didn't, and I hadn't noticed it, but he was saying, I've got to take another call. So should we just see? So you're giving it 3 exclamation marks.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3. Yeah, I'll give it.
Let's see if we can raise him anyway.
From the dead.
I bet he's on that other call now. Oh no, he's there.
Yeah, I'm here. I just hung up on another call, so I just couldn't speak to you.
See, we know this stuff. We know this
Do you
stuff.
feel special now?
Yes.
Good. It's because you are.
Can you say who you were talking to?
No, because I then would have to kill you and all of your listeners.
Well, that would take about 5 minutes.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it?
How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. A different angle today. I can't see quite as far up your nose as normal.
No. Well, I'm using the iPad today to call you.
I see. Well, what an honour. And how are you and Benji doing? What are you doing?
We're doing the Knights of God. Have you ever heard of it?
I have not, no. Sounds like a nice cocktail to me.
It does, yeah. The sequel to your previous one.
Yeah, lovely. No, I don't know that. Is it to be recommended?
Nope, not really.
Brilliant. Won't be watching that then, thanks.
It's not even available. You have to watch it on YouTube. Benji gave it...
It is available.
Well, but you know what I mean. Not officially.
It's impossible. It's been deleted. It's only on YouTube.
Same thing.
Yes.
Well, he's having a cocktail. No, it's coffee or something.
It is black coffee. It's lovely.
Oh, I can't be doing with that. Benji gave it 3 exclamation marks. I gave it 2.
Out of 10?
Out of 5.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Not that bad then.
Middle of the road.
Okay, good.
It's shot on film, very well edited, quite ambitious, got helicopters and things in it. It's about a future Earth. This was in the late 80s, so it's about the year 2020, and a religious order taking over Britain and ruling it with an iron fist, you know.
Well, that's nowhere near what's actually happened, is it? So, more fault then.
So Benji, have you got a question for
Yeah.
Jamie?
What is the worst thing to put inside a pinata?
It's his reaction every time.
Yeah, cat sick.
Cat sick.
Oh, God, that would be vile, wouldn't it?
Angry bees. I mean,
Angry
or both. I mean,
bees.
the two combined would be terrible.
Cat-covered bees.
Cat sick, he said.
Oh, blimey.
What do you think I said?
I've just realised it's worse to say cat than it is cat sick, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I was trying to keep it clean.
I think some bleeping will be going on there.
So,
I've got a really embarrassing confession.
Go on, then.
oh, another one. You ring me with one of these every week.
Every hour!
What is it?
I don't know what a piñata is.
Oh. So, you know, paper constructed animal that you strike with a stick blindfolded to release sweets. It's a Mexican thing.
Yeah, you know at parties, you hit this, you hit something, and then when it breaks, sweets come out of it. It's like a big hanging thing, and you have to have a blindfold to hit it.
That's what Jamie just said.
Yeah. I'm just reaffirming it.
Oh, good. There you go. You learn something new every day.
Well, I've never heard of it. I thought it was like a panini. That's what I was thinking. So I was thinking,
God.
Eating cat sick. That's awful. Or angry bees.
Now you see the context of.
Well, I was thinking if the angry bees are in there and you're striking it, and the bees will get more angry.
Yeah, that's good. I can see why you said that now.
Finally makes sense.
Well, has you got another question for him?
Yeah. What is the scariest animal that you can imagine talking? If that makes sense. Like, if an animal was to talk, what would be the scariest?
Oh. I don't know. Literally scared, like, it's in unsettling or frightening. Because frightening would be something really big and booming, like a whale. But unsettling, probably a fly. Because it would be buzzing around the room, and I imagine it saying really unsettling things.
Yes, like I've just vomited on your food.
Yeah, well, no, I was more thinking, you know, nobody really likes you.
I like that. Yeah. You smell.
But nobody likes you enough to tell you.
You have no friends.
Exactly. You see, and wouldn't that be horrible? Really unsettling, nasty fly.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sure if Stephen Moffat was still running Doctor Who, that would be his next season opener.
Absolutely.
Talking animals.
Talking. I think snakes would be pretty horrible things to talk.
Yeah. Well, you know, historically, I mean, biblically,
Exactly.
fictionally, they're a bit sinister with the speaking.
Yeah.
Keep offering people apples, don't they?
Snakes would. They get your attention easily. They go psst.
Nice. And on that hilarious bombshell,
You're going away.
yeah,
Yeah.
I probably will actually.
You look very nicely lit there today.
Oh, thank you. It's daylight.
Where'd you get that?
Open my curtains. And, I'm getting lovely daylight and a lovely view of the mountain.
Nice.
Takes all sorts, doesn't it?
Oh, cheerio.
Thanks for having me and for the fascinating questions.
I felt there were an exclamation marks, inverted commas around the word fascinating.
Yeah, I would give them 4.5 exclamation marks.
Nothing wrong with that.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Enjoy 2020.
Thanks.
I'll go now.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Gone.
Well, there we go. There we have it. Always interesting putting the world to rights there with Jamie and speaking questions from all corners of our mind.
All corners.
The one.
One corner we've got. Okay, so look, what are we going to do next week?
I don't know. I mean, where are we at? I suppose we've done what we've done what we've been watching. We've talked about something. I guess it's another commentary now.
Well, if you want to do it in that strict order, you see.
Well, I mean, what would you like to do?
Well, that's what I was asking you. I was trying to get out of making a decision. Oh,
it's a tricky one, isn't it?
His doggy. She's sitting there wagging her tail.
Oh.
Just like, entertain me.
She's like,
Stop
come
talking
on,
to that idiot on the
please.
screen.
Can you see her on the camera? Oh.
I can, yes. Just down on the
Oh,
bottom. Right
yeah. Down there. Hey, there we go. Good girl, yeah. Bless her. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Whether we could do another Doctor Who, we could shake it up and do something else.
I think the commentary has to be something that we're very, very familiar with, isn't it?
Something we're quite invested in, yeah.
Yeah. Or we could set ourselves something else to watch.
Yeah. I mean, you've been quite into Department S, haven't you? So we could watch maybe the first episode of that.
Okay.
We could do that. That sounds like good fun. How about that?
Let's do it. Department S, starring Peter Wingard as Jason King, Rosemary Nichols as someone else, and someone else as Stuart something. Can't remember. Anyway, that kind
Stuart
of gives you...
something.
Stuart something. Department S was sort of like the Champions without superpowers.
Back in the old days of great telly on film. 1968 wasn't the first episode.
Was it really?
I think it was. I'll double check. I just sort of pulled that figure out of my mind because I sort of remember it being a late 60s thing.
Certainly that. What is the first episode called?
69 was the
I thought as much.
6 days.
Oh, I know exactly what happens in that one.
When an aircraft goes missing for 6 days and the crew members have no recollection of events, Department S investigates.
I think that the first episode doesn't really do any introduction of the characters, so it'd be interesting to watch.
Just jump straight in there.
Straight in. All right then. So, time to get close to the microphone.
Oh,
to say,
yes. Well, it's been a pleasure, Nick, and goodbye.
Goodbye. Pressing stop now. Ka-chunk. Listen, folks, I've just edited the podcast and realised that the Doctor Who director of Battlefield was Michael Kerrigan. It wasn't Andrew Morgan who I interviewed. It was Michael Kerrigan. So sorry for that ridiculous factual error. Oh, dear.